Well, I said that after Brian Discord, I was going to do some fun celebration. And I haven't done a Linkara month in a few years, thanks to me not doing Fifth and Fridays for a while. So, to make up for it, here's an entire fic. I present to you Gundam Amalgum Gundam. Universal Century 118, a time when the endless waltz of history continues unabated. Let us go back to the year UCY 117. Empire of Thalos declares war upon all Nemarine star systems, and the dozens of space and planetary colonies within them. Empire's military powers to equal strength to each government they are at war with. They are caught in a stalemate. However, halfway into the UCY 117, the Empire acquired a new weapon whose name would be heard through the future: mobile suits. These new devices smash through any and all resistance. The Empire now controls more than 90% of the area. We now return to the Universal Colony Year 118. 5 space colonies have had enough. Location: Space Colony LX-014, Tolerant Star System. This is sounding less like the Universal Century and more like Heavy Metal like Game. Show me the way to you. Melanie Zankin tried to contain how hard her breathing was as she carried 6 loaves of bread through the dark streets of the deserted city. She already cursed the engineer who had developed full gravitational capabilities for the colonies. Unlike the early colonies, they had limited gravity. Melanie was wearing a beret on top of her head, full of long, dirty blonde hair. Her eyes were full of sorrow and fear as searchlights roamed the streets. She thought instantly to herself that this was like an old movie about ghettos during the Nazi regime. However, this was slightly different. The Nazis were devoted to a genocidal view of purification of a race, whereas LX-014 was currently under martial law, as it had been when it had been taken over by the Empire of Thalos 3 months earlier. This was not Melanie's first raid to retrieve food. 4 times before she had attempted and failed, having to run back to the safe house before Thalos soldiers found her breaking curfew. This was the first time she actually successfully managed to retrieve the food. She was nervous, and her pulse quickened as she hugged the wall with her back and moved across it to avoid the searchlights that hung on the watchtowers of the city, a constant reminder that the Thelonian controlled the colony. Finally, Melanie had made it to the entrance of the safe house. She knocked 4 times against the brick wall. When she heard a knock reply 2 times, she knocked again 3 times. The brick wall opened up, and Melanie stepped inside. She stepped into the elevator that lit up the brick wall and closed again. The elevator brought her down several mirrors, and the door opened. Melanie walked out of the elevator and looked out at the huge chamber before her. Catwalks and walkways were spread about everywhere and surrounded the huge object in the center of it all. It was a Gundam. Hector Daikin was not a man to be thrilled when he was angry. He stood in the main conference room, glaring at the technicians, tacticians, and scientists that sat in chairs before him. Hector had a gray beard, which seemed to match the edges of the gray hair against the bob of auburn hair. Hector was wearing casual clothing, which would seem to be a surprising thing for a leader of his caliber. But not for a leader of resistance moment.
Let me get this straight. The other colonies are saying that Operation Stardust needs to occur tomorrow morning.
Yes, sir.
And just what the hell makes them think we can have Jubilee ready for them in 10 hours? Apparently, Marina has been getting more and more paranoid about subversion and rebellion throughout the colonies, and in that 3 days they'll begin level 5 scanning of all colonies, planet side and orbital side. Remind me again what a level 5 scan is. It's the kind of scan that will expose us instantly.
Hector sighed. He rubbed his temples from lack of sleep and from a headache.
Very well. Tell Amaro that we can't wait for his fatigue and waiting lists lately to be healed up. Tell him to be suited up and ready to pilot the Gundam in 8 hours.
The group of officers stood up and saluted. Hector saluted back, and the conference was adjourned. The lines of scientists and military personnel walked calmly out of the conference room, and Hector sat down and pulled out some headache medicine from his pocket. He quickly chewed it and swallowed it, grating his teeth into better taste. There was a knock on the conference door.
Enter.
The metal door slowly opened, revealing a Melanie with a basket of bread. Beware of Thelonian's bearing gifts. Hector smiled and Melanie walked in. The two embraced tightly, and Hector sat down to Melanie's 12-year-old height.
Hello, Pumpkin. Where did you get the bread?
A conference store about 30 meters up road.
Melanie!
Dad, the soldiers are starving. You got all your evidence in that stupid war machine out there that you haven't thought about the needs of the people, the resistance. Now, how are we supposed to fight back against the Empire if all our soldiers die of starvation?
Despite what you may believe, young lady, that war machine, as you put it, is our last means of fighting the Empire.
Maybe, but we didn't need to spend every last bit of money we had to purchase on for that one freaky guy.
And that freaky guy, as you called him, despite his high praise, was our last best hope of beating the Empire. The RX-78 GP-01 out there, or Jubilee as we codenamed it, is capable of riding down an entire squadron of Thelonian mobile suits, including mobile dolls.
You're sure you picked the right guy for this. Amro's been having faint attacks lately. If he fainted in the middle of a battle.
Melanie. It just works out like a Gundam series should. Chances are high he might faint in the middle of a fight, and you'll have to pilot it, making you the youngest Gundam pilot. Sorry, Uso, you might be dethroned.
No.
We got our best doctors looking him over. Now, Zeke, go to bed, young lady. Your mother and sister were worried sick when you went out.
Melanie sighed and kissed her father on the cheek, then walked out to the conference room. Okay, Gundam fans! Who's taking bets on it this colony is going to get completely obliterated in the next few minutes? Any takers? Anybody? Melanie gritted her teeth as she shifted her body from left to right on the mattress as she slept on. Finally, she sighed and sat up on bed. She pushed the blanket off of her and put on a pair of sweatpants. She walked out the cramped room that served as his room and walked down to the corridor to the main chamber of catwalks and walkways, overlooking the Gundam known as Jubilee. For some reason, she heard of a humming sound within the Gundam that helped her relax and get sleep. She walked over to a certain catwalk attached to an elevator and led down to the open cockpit of Jubilee. The cockpit had a luxurious blue leather seat and had been installed after they acquired the Gundam. Do you think Gundams and most cannons actually have leather or plush sheets? I mean, I'm sorry, but I just don't see Hero complaining about it either. Garrett, on the other hand, might be talking about it. Melanie smiled as the elevator stopped at the cockpit. She walked into it. She closed the cockpit door and was encompassed in darkness. She knew exactly where the emergency release button was, so she lay down in the seat like a cat and closed her eyes. The hum that guarded sleep so many nights filled her ears, as she slowly faded into a peaceful sleep. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. We're going into Witch from Mercury territory. My apologies. To all of my non-Gundam fans out there listening, I'm probably going to be referencing Gundam series you've never heard of. I'm sorry. Just sit back and enjoy the ride. The technician working at the control room across from the Gundam took a donut out of the box next to him and quickly scarfed it down. He looked out the window in front of him at the Gundam's head. Mostly has green eyes, which were also the main external cameras for where the Gundam were. A red light on the control panel started flashing, making a loud beeping noise as well. The technician turned his head to it, gasped and turned his chair over to face it, checking the reads that were being printed on the computer console. He looked him over and double-checked him. He got him and pressed the button for the speaker to the conference room. Miss Daikon! Hector's annoyed voice responded to the frightened technician.
What is it? Speak up, boy!
Sir, I detected a radiation leak from the Gundam.
Impossible. We tested over 1,000 times. Let's get it even more. And even that guy we bought it from said there was no radioactive powering system within it.
Apparently, sir, the leak is coming from the cargo hold. A small nuclear detonation system seems to be stored there.
Why didn't we detect this before?
Sensors didn't pick up until it fully eaten through the protective casing of the cargo hold. I expanded minor link until now, where the protective casing has been entirely eaten though. The radiation's been going out for some time now.
You're saying the reason Amro's been having faint attacks and extreme fatigue was because of slight radiation poisoning?
If they ain't caught it now, a few more exposures will kill them.
How can we safely remove the radiation sensors?
There's no way we can do it from down here, sir. We'll have to launch the gun to space and eject the chemicals from there.
What? We can't do that now.
Sir, we'll have to. Don't worry, we'll keep the Gundam's lights off and use the emergency catapult system.
The jets will only be used once it enters the inner atmosphere. We can use the emergency return sequence to bring the gun back down again. After Mama curses to himself.
We'll do it quickly, though. We went through this long. We're not screwing it up now.
Marine's sleep was interrupted when her senses suddenly told her that the humming sound she was so fond of had stopped. New sounds replaced it. These sounds were strange and unfamiliar. There were sounds of Gundam systems coming online and monitors flashing on. Melanie sat up, trying to understand what was happening. She looked forward to the external cameras and saw the LX-014 on the screen, spinning generating power and gravity. She slapped herself to see if she was dreaming. The pain was momentary and indicated that she was quite awake. Other monitors showed readings of her purse of cargo section of Subilee, as the radioactivity bar tracked radically with each passing second.
Oh God, what's happened?
Maria Delis was a perfect mirror of Marimia Kusunada, down to the fair color of her hair. She had the same confident smile, the same air of authority that carried with her.
Oh, are you sure we couldn't have brought him on? I mean, come on, that woman is awesome!
Zeta Gundam did come out in the States at the time. Oh. The difference between Mariamina and Mariamina was that Mariana was the true empress of the Empire of Thalos, whereas Mariamina had been manipulated by one Dyken Barton. Mariana sat there on her throne, which was made higher than the height of her personal guards and servants in the throne room within the underground castle that controlled the Empire of Thalos. Soft piano music played in the background, something that Mariana enjoyed immensely.
Has the representative arrived?
The guard that had Mariana's was spoken to was standing next to her throne, having seized a saber at his side, handed on the other side. In his hands held a high-powered automatic rifle. His uniform was entirely black, except for the gold symbol on his right breast pocket that identified him as a personal guard for the Empress. The guard nodded at Mariana to confirm the representative was in fact waiting outside the throne room.
Good. Sit him in.
The guard spoke to the communications device that was placed on the ear, a microphone coming down to it. A few seconds afterwards, the doors to the massive throne room opened, and two guards, escorted by the prominent diplomat, entered into the throne room. Looked up at Mariana and bowed before her.
Hello, Your Eminence.
Good evening. You are the representative of Space Colony LX-014, yes?
Yes, my Empress.
And I was wondering if you could assist me in a matter.
My life is at your command, Empress.
Such loyalty. I'm happy you feel the way you do.
Thank you, Empress.
However, it seems your colony is not as loyal as you are.
What do you mean, Your Eminence?
I've been getting reports from both my defense and intelligence ministers that LX-014 may be preparing to rebel against the Emperor of Thanos, and that they have constructed a mobile suit to attempt to liberate the colony from my control.
Well, then, Your Majesty, I must say that you're wrong. The colony could not be happier with your empire.
Well, that's what I told them. I told them that no colony under my dynasty as Empress has attempted to secede from the empire. It's quite a preposterous accusation.
I agree, most, Your Majesty.
I could.
The representative let out a sigh in his mind. Mariana continued smiling as he continued talking.
However, I can't rule out the possibility that there are access to the rebellion of LX-014. So, I decided to make an example for anyone else who thinks of attempting to disrupt my empire.
Mariana flipped open a panel on her throne, which would feel the console under it. Mariana pressed the button on the console. So the curtains nearby automatically pulled to the side, revealing a large screen that showed a camera on the image of the LX-014. Oh, crap. She's about to pull a charge on us! Look out! Here we go! Colony drop! We're all doomed!
My good representative, your home is this colony, yes?
Representative Galt.
Yes, Your Majesty.
Well then, say goodbye to your home.
No!
The representative leapt up to try to stop her. Two escorts grabbed his arms and kicked him back as Mariana pressed another button on the console. Gotta say, that's some impressive range of those cameras. Melanie gasped as she noticed something that was wrong with the colony. Rotations it used to keep the colony's gravity upward began to speed up. Melanie knew that a colony's gravity was needed to keep a certain speed, or else gravitational fluxes would either crush the rotation drives, eliminating gravity of the colony. Gravity would just continue to get more intense until the colony was crushed under its own gravity. She gaped and stopped breathing as she saw sections of the colony begin to crumble inwards. Solid giant breezes in the armoring furnace and rotation continued to gain speed. Then, without warning, the holes got immensely bigger. The colony began to explode. Melody could not hear no howls because of the vacuum of space, but she knew that people were screaming and dying, running for their lives in a futile attempt to escape what was happening. Then it was all over, for the colony was crushed down into a small section. The Gundam sensors did not detect any kind of life coming from the crumpled mass of melt that had been her home for 12 years.
Well, look at the bright side, honey. At least it's not another colony drop.
Selena began to breathe again as tears filled her eyes. She collapsed down on the console, hitting it in a fit of hysteria and rage as she realized her family was gone. Her resistance had been crushed, and all hope for liberating the colony was gone, because there was no colony to be liberated. Then she realized she had hit the wrong button, because an image suddenly appeared on screen. She could tell it was a recording because the image of her father's assistant, Trent Akemiya. Good evening, Amuro heading. You have been chosen by the Resistance Movement on LX-014 to pilot the Gundam known as Jubilee and Operation Stardust. The 5-colony alliance between MG-116, LX-014, LX-059, AS-002, and AX-010 have all managed to purchase a Gundam from Clark Axum. We also been informed that Axum was also the one originally sold the first mobile suits to the Empire, but that's not a concern. The recording split into 2 different parts, showing Trent while the others showed diagrams of Operation Stardust. Operation Stardust has 3 points to it. Part 1 is where the 5 Gundams meet at pre-arranged coordinates laid into the outboard computer. Then, the Gundams attaching themselves to asteroids will be passing through the coordinates. Part 2 explains why this plan is called Operation Stardust. The asteroids that the Gundams will be clinging to are passing through Talos' atmosphere, creating a meteor shower on the planet. Asteroids contain a high content of gold, and the atmosphere will melt the gold into dust-like compound that will fall into Talos once it passes through the atmosphere. Hence the title Operation Stardust. The Gundams must successfully survive the atmospheric drop to the planet. Part 3 is where the Gundams will locate to a safe place to hide and wait for their orders. Goodbye, Amuro, and good luck.
Well, you guys, see, here's a little problem. Why not skip the middleman and, get a system like a freaking white base?